真空 Hey, what's going on, guys? System Psycho back with the Combo Crew for a video game podcast. We got my boy Gatsuga,
Sadet,
Josh,
What's up?
and Pro Logic.
what's going on?
So today's topic, what we want to discuss is pretty much retro versus modern gaming, and pretty much just kind of discuss like what are the pros and cons, stuff that we like from back in the day, what we didn't like, and what we like now. So let's get this shit started so we don't waste any more time. Where do you guys want to start? Anybody?
We could start, I guess, with like just the variety of games that were around back in the day versus,
Okay.
pretty much first-person shooter nowadays.
So variety in what way? Like what more
different
like
types.
platformers, like
You got platformers, side scrollers,
Okay.
shmups,
RPGs.
fighting games, RPGs, JRPGs.
Side scrollers.
more
Side scrollers.
more side scrollers,
We don't have to go that far, man.
Beat 'em up side scroller.
beat 'em up side scrollers,
Yeah,
2D.
especially
2D,
8-bit, 12-bit,
12-bit, 16-bit.
Nah, it's true because like I just remember like back in the day we would get like a bunch of commercials and stuff, and you would actually see the variety of games that are out there now. And I feel like in today's gaming, you kind of really have to really be a true gamer and get on and like check out the indie stuff and really to get the full variety of what's out there, because I feel like a lot of times what's being pushed onto like the open market is really sports games, first person shooters, MMOs, like those are the type
Cash
of games.
cows.
Yeah, exactly.
and the new the whole new free-to-play model
Yeah,
with like a lot of that stuff.
exactly. Like that's what we're getting pushed at now. Whereas I can remember back in the day, I remember seeing like fucking commercials for like Bonk's Adventure and like fucking
Sonic
like
3.
Sonic and
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot, but just as much I would,
Roadrunner, River City Ransom.
yeah, like you would see shit like that, but then you would also see games like Top Gear Racing.
Yeah.
You would see
Yeah.
games like Star Fox. You would see games like I remember finding out about Galaga 90 from a fucking like advertisement in a comic book back in the day.
Galaga was some good shit back then.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like it was like you saw this stuff and you were kind of like, I felt like things that were being marketed by these companies and developers, you were seeing more variety. Nowadays I feel like you don't get the same variety as far as what's
Yeah.
being advertised. Now as far as what's available to play, I feel like there's just as much available to play now as there was back then.
Yeah.
I agree with you, man.
In the sense of like commercials, commercials back then were pretty fun, and they showed you like the good parts of the games and everything, and you'd get really hyped for like a game. Think about like the Mortal Kombat commercial. Like when I first saw that shit, I was like,
Dude,
I was so hyped.
sick,
I was
dude.
so hyped.
Mortal Kombat was
Especially
pretty
Mortal
awesome.
Kombat 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
man,
God,
that
yeah.
commercial for that.
When
time,
they're
dude.
in the streets, right?
No, that's part
that
one.
was
Part
part one.
That was
Part
my, that was
two-
my favorite. That was my
Part
favorite.
2 is when it looks like a movie, and it's like it shows like the characters like really fighting.
Oh yeah,
So
I
fucking
remember.
tight.
Didn't they actually show didn't they show the pit fatality in the
The first one,
In
yeah.
the- yeah.
You see Liu Kang getting dropped.
Yeah, dude, I remember seeing that on TV and being like, what the fuck?
You're like, what?
Nowadays, man, you could like basically see someone get decapitated on TV, but back then it was like a pit fatality. You were like, they're actually showing this shit.
Yeah.
I'm not even old enough.
But yeah, they had a lot of different types of games. Like, I remember Jet Moto.
Oh, I love Jet Moto.
The commercials for Jet Moto were hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first things, like one of the first games I ever remember, like Mountain Dew being advertised.
I know,
Yeah,
dude.
that's true. That was like that one. I remember Twisted Metal commercial.
Yeah.
That shit
Oh,
was
yeah.
pretty cool. Like that's what I'm saying. I remember all of those. Now it's like I'll tune in and I'll see. And it's not that we don't get commercials for modern games, because we do, but it's like they're either AAA titles or, like I
Yeah.
said, sports games, MMOs. It's like it's basically genre based. I feel like it's not as open as it was back then.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. And it's large studios too that can afford that shit because it's expensive as all hell to
Yeah.
buy airtime now.
Think
And,
about Destiny, how much money they put into
Division.
Yeah, Division.
You got all those AAA games.
Black Ops or Call of Duty franchise in general. They got even Halo. All those first person shooters have like marketing campaigns with, as cliche as it is, Mountain Dew and Doritos. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
didn't Halo have something too where you could
Well,
like
there's
get
also MLG that's
skins
behind them, you know.
exactly.
so-
Yeah, there's also the birth of like actual MLG
Yep.
and things like that.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's funny because it's like I feel like sometimes when you're, sometimes when I sit back and I think about like all these games that are coming out, it's funny when you see games like Rocket League or like Shovel Knight and what was the one that you were playing, Salt and
Sanctuary.
Yeah, Salt and Sanctuary,
game.
and seeing these games that are coming out and that they're actually getting like notability and notoriety from fans, and like they're getting pushed out there with very little marketing.
Yeah.
And it's like I felt like a lot of times, like as a kid growing up, probably not as much during like the Super Nintendo and Genesis era, but definitely during like the NES era. It was like I either had to know somebody that had a game that I was really interested in, or I banked on seeing it on television.
Yeah,
like seeing a commercial.
Or,
of it.
at 7-Eleven or the grocery store, checking it out in like a Nintendo Power, Game Pro, PSM, all that stuff.
Exactly.
You know what else I've noticed? I don't know if you guys can agree with me, but I've also noticed that back in the day, like NES, Super NES games era, like if you went to a friend's house or if you knew some people, I feel like people had a variety of games like that they bought. Like they had like different types of shit that like nowadays, if you look at everybody's collection, it's all the same. It's the same games. But I feel like back in the day, everybody always had like some weird games that they just like randomly purchased. The reason why I say this is because like my nephew and my cousin came by and they're like 14 and 10 years old and they wanted to play video games, and I have tons of video games, and they were like, I'm like, okay, what do you guys want to play? They were like, the only two games they asked for was Halo and Call of Duty. Out of all the games, dude, those are the only two games they asked for.
And you don't have them.
And I had Halo. I didn't have I had no Call of Duty whatsoever. But I'm thinking to myself, like, this all these kids play. Where I remember back in the day, some friends would have some random games like Bad Dudes or like, you know what I mean? Some random, you're just like, what is this? And you would discover games by your friends
Like
or
the Clay Fighters? Remember Uniracers?
Uniracers,
Like
dude,
that
like
game?
you know what I mean? Like people.
That was a battle, dude. You get on the racers.
Yeah, that's it.
But I felt like
It felt so fast when you're on that fucking
like
thing.
it's like I felt people were more open back then. You know what I mean? I don't know if you can. I don't know.
I feel
if you
like
guys
people
agree.
are too afraid to try something different, because even when they do try something different, it gets crazy hash. Like people hate on it so hard, and nobody really gives them credit for at least trying something different. Granted, companies sometimes they do it and it sucks. Let's look at Sonic, for example. Sonic tried some different things and they all suck.
Yeah.
Like I pretty much stopped at Sonic 3.
Wow.
I didn't care about anything else after that. I didn't like any of the 3D ones. I didn't like the Racer.
You didn't like Generations?
No, didn't like
I
it.
actually played that one.
I
That was okay.
actually liked Sonic.
Even the
Generations.
remake. Is it a remake? Whatever they had on on PlayStation, where
It was like PS Sonic 4.
Sonic
yeah.
4.
Yeah.
And they
It
broke
felt
that
wrong.
up into
Yeah,
two
it
parts.
did.
I didn't
it
like
was too
that.
slow.
Yeah,
For Sonic, come on, Sonic's all about
It's almost
speed,
like they're
man.
running out of fucking ideas.
Yeah.
I think it's just too expensive. Well, it's not that. It's expensive to start a game, but you could also there's options now available like Kickstarter.
I would love Nintendo to pump out a new IP.
That's
When's
true.
The last time they actually.
That's true,
That's
dude.
very
Yeah.
true.
Like
A more
something
serious
that's-
IP too would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah.
did they used the Zelda franchise, but they did that whole
Yeah, but
Zelda
they always,
Hyrule
it
Heroes.
seems like they're milking it. The Mario, the Yoshi, the
Donkey
Zelda, Donkey
Yeah.
Kong.
played Star Fox. And it was like,
that's
yeah.
it's our era, but it's
Dude, I
all-
traded-
I feel like once you've played one, you've played them all, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do to change that shit, man.
Back in the 64 era, I traded my PlayStation with my friend who had a 64 for the summer, just so I could play like the Nintendo titles, like
Okay.
Star Fox. I played that game for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Like I love that game, and I picked up the new one, started playing, and I was like, how long did I last?
Dude, we only played that shit
20
for like,
minutes?
yeah.
And I was like,
this.
all right, I don't care anymore. It wasn't memorable. It felt bland. It felt like it was,
it's the same shit, dude.
it looked great and it played great, honestly. It's just that I was like, 64 was tight, and that was the one that kind of awed me, and now I'm playing this joint, I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah, me and System have the exact opposite opinion with the N64. We're N64 haters.
Yeah, I
Both of us.
fucking hate the
I hated
64.
N64.
Wait, even GoldenEye?
I hate gold.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, dude. Like,
I'm not a big fan of. The only game I can truly say I love is Smash
Perfect
Brothers.
Dark?
Smash
Perfect Dark?
Brothers is I will.
Tabletop
What about
guns?
Wave
know what?
Racer?
Oh, Wave Racer.
I like Jet Moto more. I
did too.
was a PlayStation
Epic,
guy.
bro.
Yeah, I'm a
So
Wave
was
Racer
I.
was like the first thing that you like.
Dude,
oh
I
my God, there's
remember-
waves.
Water.
You
Yeah.
measure the quality of a video game nowadays by its water texture.
Yeah.
I remember was it me and you? We played Eco or Ico, however you want to call it.
PS2.
And, yeah, and we were just like chilling, and there was like a little water pool, and I was like, "Whoa! Why always jump in and makes waves? What's going on? My brain hurts. Like I don't get it."
Look at the fur on that tiger.
Exactly. It was like mind blowing.
I'm glad that you said the one for PS2 because at first I thought you were talking about Eco the dolphin.
no,
That's what I thought. I thought you were talking about
I thought you were
Echo.
talking Echo the
Echo
dolphin.
the Titan.
and
I
I
don't
was
know.
like-
I don't know how to say it. It's either Eco or Ico.
But I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, man, we were talking about water. That's not a good example of water.
You see the waves? They're so good. You can jump out of the water and do flips and shit.
How did that game become popular back in the day?
It was hard as shit.
That game is hard.
Yeah.
Again, that's another type of game that normally wouldn't come out these days.
Yeah.
A game about a dolphin, and it was popular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's so
I played
random.
it. You know,
Everybody had it.
Yeah, I mean, there's always games like that though. I remember they had that game, Mr. Mosquito. Y'all remember that?
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Mr.
I
for
remember,
PS2?
yeah.
Yeah, like they
That's
always
true.
have
That's
weird.
true.
They always have weird
I mean,
games like that.
They kind of brought something new, like Katamari. Remember?
yeah,
that's
I
true.
actually like
That game is
Katamari.
fun as shit.
Katamari was really, really interesting.
It was. You know what it was? It was addicting.
Yeah,
that was the
extremely
thing.
Because
It
you're
was
just like,
an addicting
it
game.
was that timer. You know, while
Yeah.
you're sitting there, you're like, oh my God, I gotta make this shit as big as that fucking game. And then it always cuts you off, like right at like this time where you're getting the monstrous ball, and you're like, oh my God, I can make this. And it's like, time's up. And you're like, God damn it. You know, like I wanted to make this shit like big. And then eventually, spoiler alert, you start like rolling up the universe, you know? And you're just like, what the fuck? You're like picking up galaxies and shit. And I thought that shit was awesome. I remember that was one of the most a memorable time in like video gaming for me was rolling the universe into a giant sticky ball.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? In Japan, those types of games are really popular. Whereas here in the States, not so much.
It's a niche market.
Yeah.
It is.
It's definitely not AAA, but it was definitely a game that a lot of people played.
Well, also
you know.
too, back to the topic that we're actually on. It's the marketing. Marketing has changed drastically. I mean, you figure that like games like Call of Duty gets funded by the military, for fuck's sake.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you got to take that into consideration. Whereas like back in the day, it was fucking amazing to see the Turtles game having a Pizza Hut sponsor. in it.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I mean? Like you figure that where the money's coming from and where the marketing's going. You know, I feel like a lot of times that goes back to like where the budget stands and where people are actually and what people are being exposed to. Whereas like when we were kids, everybody had like their own style of games that they liked and they
Yeah.
gravitated to, and you would go to each other's houses and you would play. And I mean, if you guys don't mind, I kind of want to move on to that with retro gaming is like going to each other's houses and having couch co-op. Like
Yeah.
that was like to me that was something about retro gaming that
It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I actually miss that, to be
I do.
honest with
I
mean,
you.
I do too.
Me and Psycho,
Yeah.
all of us, or me and Psycho, we usually do like a game night on Friday. We invite everyone. I mean, obviously you've come before.
Yeah.
And Pro, you've come as well. It's just like it's that whole feeling of just playing a game with your friends, even eating pizza if you want to go as that far,
Yeah.
just chilling and having
It's
a
just
good
fun.
time, like I'm not a heavy drinker. I don't really go out to clubs. I don't do that shit.
Yeah.
I enjoy the whole couch co-op aspect, and playing Street Fighter, any kind of game, and just talking shit in person.
Yeah, shit
know,
talking in person
like-
is the best type of
Yeah, you
shit talk that there is. You know,
hold your tongue,
because the thing is like there is
You
always the
suck.
threat of getting punched. The anonymity of the
I hate shit
internet
talking.
and
I don't like
fucking
shit talking.
headsets.
I
Like,
love
you know.
talking shit,
I don't like
but I'm
talking
more of
shit.
like a casual.
What are you talking about? You don't like talking
You talk shit all
You
the
talk
time.
shit all the time, dude.
You're just passive aggressive and shit. You're like,
I talk shit to people online. I'll talk talk shit to people.
On Street Fighter nights, there are times when you'll lose, and then you'll be like, "That's bullshit."
Well, yeah, I'm not talking shit.
But then when you come back and you win, especially when you fuck with Juice with that, and you come back, you're like, "Yeah, motherfucker, that's right."
That's
I'm done for the night.
The thing is, I do that when I see that the person cares so much about that shit. When I see the person is so frustrated and he's so into it, I'll be like, I just to fuck with him, dude. Like, dude. But if we just like fucking just play and it's fine. I don't talk shit. But if he's so into it and he really wants to beat me, I'll talk shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about games too, like the X-Men arcade game and Turtles in Time.
About arcades in general.
Yeah, and it was like you would go with your friends to play there. Your friends would come over to your house to play all the new games, and it wasn't like you were like, oh, I was playing this the other day, and like most stories that you had back in the day was, we were playing this game, and like, it's
sleepovers and shit just to play like a new, like to play like Resident Evil or Metal Gear, like I mean that's more modern than like SNES or NES or.
But it's still retro if you do the PS1.
I'm not coming over to your house for a sleepover. You crazy?
Those days are over.
Hey, you want to come over sleepover?
Yo, why's your pants off, dude?
We're just getting comfortable. Hey,
don't forget your pillow.
I sleep with my pants on.
No, but the thing I like about couch co-op, I just like completing a game with a friend because I just feel like you guys are coming together and you're completing something together. So it's like, I don't know, it's just weird. You have like this memory of like, we punished it together. Like it was a team effort.
And I mean, that's why you come over to play like, like Psycho comes over, he buys some games, like, I bought this new joint, you trying to do it? I'm like,
trying to tag team that
like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm always
like, we beat the Resident Evil Revelations and shit. We've done RPG, even though they're one player, we'll take turns, but we're still focused on the game. We try to beat it together.
It's fun.
And it's different than playing online.
You
know what I mean? It's a different type of experience. Now, not to take away from that, because it is fun too, like especially playing team-based games. Like, I know a lot of people right now are big on Overwatch.
I play the shit out of
and they love it, and you do get. I mean, if you play it properly,
it's a
you play it in that team.
I think that's why I like it so much, because it's very team heavy. It's not like I'm the star of this, like
run and gun shit. Yeah, it's
like,
not like that.
You actually have classes. It's just like if you most of the time
an objective.
Yeah, but the most of the time, if everyone tries to troll you, especially with the group that I play with. They'll go all Reapers or something, all attack, and I'm just like, all right, I'll just go all defense and we'll destroy them, And then usually most of those salty motherfuckers come back and try to use spammy characters. We still crush them.
Yeah.
And I'm not ashamed to admit it, but I sent a little message or two, talking about their moms and how they were good on my lap.
Online shit talk.
And he said he was going to tell his mom because he's, He's like, I'm so upset right now.
Well, the thing that's funny about it is like you'll have moments like that, and then, for instance, talking about Turtles in Time, that was like the ultimate co-op game, and then this new one, what's it called? Mutants in Manhattan.
The Turtles.
Yeah, the new one.
Mutants of Suckage.
I haven't even played it. I haven't even seen
I heard
it.
so much bad.
You haven't played it yet?
No.
Oh, I gotta bring it over.
Co-op.
Dude,
we can't even play a co-op.
No co-op.
Well, it's co-op online.
It's online co-op, no couch co-op.
That's
and the
bullshit.
thing is it's repetitive bullshit playing. And it's like, you figure that, and I know that like it's kind of funny to say this, but I actually would probably have more fun like button mashing and beating enemies while sitting there with my buddies playing. Like I was feeling that retro feel of Turtles in Time. The fact that I didn't get to do that and I was just playing a single player mode and like running through and hitting the same buttons over and over again, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Actually, I told Psycho, turn the shit off. Like I was done.
It's not
like within 15, 20
I bought it
minutes
because I thought it was couch co-op.
And it was platinum. On top of that, it was platinum games, and I love platinum games.
Yeah.
I mean, they made some of my favorite titles. It's
Dropped
just
the ball on that one.
They
they
did.
fucked up.
And
The poster it came with was tight.
Yeah.
But to me, it just blows my mind that nowadays it's hit or miss if a game has couch co-op.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it was you. or my other, or
was
my friend
probably
Trust
me
Real.
because-
But I was like, yo, Couch Co was like, dude, you know, Couch Co really isn't in every game, man. We got to see if it is. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous. This should always be in a fucking game, dude.
It should. Look
just
at the
stupid.
Transformers Devastation.
Yeah.
You
That
know?
could have easily been a multiplayer game,
Yep.
and it wasn't.
Luckily, Rocket League is. Thank
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
know
You
what I
can
mean?
and you can split that bitch four
Yeah.
ways.
See,
Yeah.
that's how it should
You can,
always
you can
be.
golden eye that screen.
Look at last generation.
Twisted Metal.
Twisted Metal. Yeah.
Man, that was
Twisted
some
Metal was
hateful
great.
ass gaming right there.
That was-
so much shit
God,
talked in
that game was
Twisted
so
Metal.
That was a fun one though.
There's some salty people.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But how about Castle Crashers from last generation?
That was fun.
I
Or
mean, that
Scott
shit was
Pilgrim.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Scott
Scott
Pilgrim.
Pilgrim was another one. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like people don't like playing them. It's just I don't know. I mean, I understand that it's more convenient now for a lot of people where, you know, they want to jump on and they want to play online because the convenience is there. But for me, it just takes it takes the personal experience out of playing with your friends.
You want to know a perfect example? Every game night for the past couple weeks has been like me and Juice playing Street Fighter. You know,
Right.
And you know, Psycho and the other guys that come out, they're not necessarily like fans of Street Fighter 5, or at least not yet until the new characters come out. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there like, all right, well, what can I play? And I'm just looking through my PS4 library. I'm like, literally nothing is playable. You know, I can't play almost any of my games except for like Rocket League.
Or fighting games.
Yeah, or
You know?
Salt and Sanctuary is actually 2-player, believe it or not.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
and-
Puzzle Fighter,
I
you be
really
busting
like
out the
those.
Puzzle Fighter.
That's the thing. I gotta bust out PS3 to play like Bomberman, Puzzle Fighter.
Yeah.
You know, some of those old more retro games.
Tight ass games.
Yeah. You know, and most of the time, if you do a multiplayer, it's only split screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I'm not complaining because I really hate the little screens nowadays. I'm kind of spoiled. You know what I mean? Like when we
Yeah.
play Rocket League with 4 people, I'm just like, it's so little. And I think about back in the day. You know, I was
Yeah.
working with a 4-inch by 4-inch square on my TV in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
You know, duct taping blankets to it so nobody your friends don't see where you are.
Don't take it.
Yeah, I think there should be definitely more competitive games out there right now that like Rocket League, that grab you and you sink many hours
Yeah,
into it.
that
you
is
know?
like probably in recent
agree.
history is like the purest like video game where it's just it's fun to pick up and go.
Yeah, you just pick it up and you just drop it.
I've
and come back to
converted
it
like
and,
30 people to Rocket League. And
It was so
I'm
funny.
just like, they're like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever heard of. I'm like, here, just pick up a stick and go. And they're like, oh my god, this is so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you
Because
suck
it's
now, but you'll
easy.
get better. And it's fun to like
So
get better.
fun. And it's like, I guess we can move on to the next high where it's kind of like old school games are kind of like easy to pick up and play.
Yeah.
Whereas, now, not that it's bad or anything, but there's sometimes some games can be very overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
And you have so many buttons.
Yep.
Or it's just like half the time I don't even use half of those buttons. And the other times I forget that I can even do certain stuff with those buttons. You know what I mean?
Here's an example. I just beat Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
I sunk 80 hours, 60 hours into that game. Didn't know I could jump.
Wow.
What? What do you mean?
Well, you can't traditionally jump in Dark Souls, and it used to be that if you double tap the dash button, he'll do a little hop. To get you. I mean, you're wearing like 60 pounds of armor, so you're not going to be doing like a Crash Bandicoot jump.
Yeah.
but I was like doing it. I was like double tap, and I was like didn't work. Double tap, didn't work. And I'm like, that's how it's been in the last ones, and I accidentally clicked the left stick in, and he jumped. I was like, dog, I went 60 hours trying to like sprint roll across these things, missing treasure, dying so many times, and
that sucks.
and half of it was because there's like 8,000 things to do, and I'm like,
I
I'm not
know.
looking at this. I'll figure it
It's
out.
too much.
Yeah.
man.
know?
It is too much.
Push it, but when they added buttons to like the actual like thumbsticks, and then now the fact that certain games you have to actually tilt the controllers back and forth
Yeah.
and shit like that. I mean, I understand that it adds elements to the game, but at the same time, I mean, growing up on video games where it was 2 buttons and then 4 buttons and then fucking 6 buttons was like, holy shit!
Yeah, or a Super NES
not 4
controller?
buttons, 3 buttons on
Yeah.
the
DualShock is adding
Genesis,
another
but-
button to it.
Fuck off.
Yeah,
Where?
serious?
What?
Yeah, they're
Where?
adding,
Christ.
adding more button. Yeah,
Where?
I think it's an additional button right where the square, circle, X, and triangle. Right.
What, in the
below it.
middle?
Right below it.
Wow.
fuck is it gonna
It's
do?
it looks like almost like a
smiley face?
like a little moon, kind of like a half a. I don't know what it is.
What
but
is it for?
I just saw it on the internet and I was like,
Why would you
what
need
the
that?
I started
fuck?
getting confused when the GameCube came out because
Yeah.
like the GameCube controller had like these
Little dick in
these
the
triggers
center.
and then these two weird buttons on the top that didn't look the same, and then they had those yellow buttons and a big button, and it was just like, dude.
Yeah.
Z button and the
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
that was such a
It was
weird
a comfortable controller though.
Same with
Yeah.
the N64. N64 had a lot of buttons, like the C buttons.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah, it is weird though, because it's like you figure that there are a lot of games, and it's funny when you said that about not realizing that you could jump, because I remember Psycho playing Dead Space, and he didn't know that you could fucking run. You know what I mean? Like,
Dude, you gotta run for like half that game.
Dude, I didn't know, but I
didn't
beat
know.
that game without running half the time. Dude. I was like,
yeah, and it's like, like that kind of shit. It does become cumbersome. I mean, it's just like Pro was saying with the picking up like Rocket League and playing Rocket League, how it's just kind of one of those games you can pick up, you can put it down, you can
It's
go back to it
complicated,
whenever. Yeah,
But to start, you just know to hit the ball and push double jump.
right.
And then eventually you're like,
Yeah.
wait, you can turn?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
And you
easy to
can-
pick them and play, but it's hard to master. That
Yeah.
game is
Yeah.
hard to master.
Well, that's why I like games. That's why I do like a lot of these indie titles though too. Like I remember playing last gen was Dishwasher. You remember that fucking game?
never heard of that game.
Never heard of it.
So that was basically like a side scroller where you like run through and like it's like a hack and slash type thing, but it's basically jump and hack and slash. It's very just like straightforward, like I mean, it's a side scroller like platformer game, where
Yeah.
you're with the beat 'em up elements and shit like that, and it was
Wash
just
dishes.
no, you don't wash dishes, unfortunately. But no, it's
Boss.
The dishwasher.
It's just funny as shit though, because it's like it's a pretty cool game, and but it's one of those ones that you could just pick up, put it down.
look, we've
and
never heard of it.
Go back, yeah, exactly. I mean,
In the sense of ease of use, you think about like tutorials. Now you got like an hour-long tutorial.
Oh, that,
fuck
I
yeah.
totally forgot. Yeah.
Mandatory
tutorials.
Think
sometimes,
about,
yeah.
and I watched, I forgot his name, I think it was Game Grumps or whatever, the guys who did that, and they explained and broke down Mega Man X's like intro stage,
Oh,
and how
yeah.
it taught you everything you need to know.
Without explaining it to you.
Yeah. I was just like, oh my god, my mind is blown. I didn't even realize that was a tutorial, and I learned everything to do in the game because it forced me to do it
That's true.
just by being a game, and now it's just like you got all that other stupid shit where you're just like, all right, go ahead.
Because like not nowadays in games, if you need to do something to get past something and you don't do it, the computer would the game will just start showing you what
Yeah.
to press.
Yeah.
Like press this and you're like, oh okay. Back then, you didn't know, you fucked.
I mean, I played Dark Souls. I hadn't played it for like 3 months, and I came back to it, and I was like, talking to my friend on chat, and I'm like, yo, how do you do that one thing that he's like, I don't remember, and he's like, really, you don't remember? You gotta get behind him, charge the R1, and do all. I was like, dude, I don't remember. I haven't played this in like 3 months. I've been playing other games with more complex, control schemes. Playing like Call of Duty where it's like double jump, wall run.
Well, now we're multitasking. We're playing like multiple genres at the same time, and
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely, that's a
we
very
run
good
into the
point.
same issue with Daniel or Gatsugo all the time, man. He picks up a game. I'm like, Daniel, it's this button. He's like, damn it! I
Yeah.
was playing this game yesterday.
Jump was
so many freaking
yeah.
buttons. You just forget. You're like,
Well, that's
one
right,
button
because
is
it's
this
like,
and yeah.
it's like, why did you just fall in? It's like into the pit, and I'm like, I thought,
Oh, it was
game.
Uncharted.
Yeah, no, it was reloading. It was reloading every time I wanted to run. There's no like real run or anything in it, so I was playing something else. It was Dark Souls where like
God.
holding circle is run, so it's just like I'm like, god damn it, and I like run, and it's like a sneaking part. And I'm like, I'm gonna run up to this guy, and I'm like, oh well, there goes that sneaking part, And he's and ProLogic is like, he's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I was like, I've got like 8 games in my head right now, like this is too much.
It is.
and that's what's funny too, because it's like, what, almost 30 some odd years later, almost 30 years later, like I could still pick up Mike Tyson's Punch Out and know left punch, right punch, or go on and play any other NES title and memorize what it is, because it was the simplicity of 2 buttons, and those games were just
fun.
as much fun,
Just as fun, dude. No bullshit.
It's true they were fun, but I mean, the modern games now are just mind blowing.
Absolutely.
Like they're like you said earlier, they're like little mini movies. You
Yeah.
know, like Uncharted is a perfect example. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it yet, but like one of the scenes, like I was just so happy. I was smiling. I was like, this is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know? And like I saved the video and I watched it. I'm like, God, it blows my mind. You know,
Yeah.
like it looks so good. And like there's a photo mode, and I was like catching myself like making little scenes. Like, ooh, that looks so tight. I'm gonna take a photo. You know, for no reason. It just looked pretty, and the backgrounds in that game are just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You know, they're really good.
And what's cool about the modern games, like you say, the mini movies, like movies are usually what 2.5 hours. These movies are fucking 6 and above. You know what I mean?
14 hours.
14
Yeah.
hours. So it's like it's
Yeah.
a really, you know, to me it just boggles my mind. Like, how long did it take to make this? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Hundreds
Witcher
of
3,
people,
man.
dude.
Witcher 3 is a
CD
great
Projekt
example of
Red.
it.
If you listen to our podcast, I love you. I love that company.
Right.
Their game is mind blowing. They're just nice people. They gave out like 25 DLCs for free just because they were like, you know what, fuck paying for DLC.
Yeah.
That's
You know, they
awesome.
still have their premium content, but it's like another 20 hours of gameplay
That's
for like
awesome.
$20 or something. You know, you're not getting like 2 map packs and a gun skin for
Right.
$35. You're getting like almost a full chapter in another book, you know, another series. So I love them for that.
Yeah. I mean,
Enough fan, you know.
Oh,
fan
Rockstar too, man.
yeah.
Yeah, Rockstar.
Rockstar's
Constant
great at
content
that.
on GTA 5.
Yep.
To me, Rockstar was kind of the first one where I played GTA 3, where it was like that kind of game, where just
The sandbox?
yeah, the sandbox, dude. That blew my mind. I loved it
Sandboxes
first
are pretty mind blowing.
Yeah.
I'm so glad this new generation is all about sandboxes.
I still haven't played Red Dead Redemption.
Dog.
Oh,
I have it. I still
That
have
game
it.
is so
That
good.
one was
Apparently,
awesome.
I mean that's what I missed, but
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a.
They're,
that was
I
a
heard
fun
they're
game.
remaking it, aren't they?
I
Or
heard
there's
they're making a
rumors.
new one.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Then they'll
Red
probably
Dead
drop a
Redemption.
remaster then.
Probably, yeah, so everyone can
Making a
catch
new
up.
one, you know, it seems to be like
Everybody
the-
buy that shit up.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about certain games though that like talking about just like the epicness and like how they're movies, but games like Assassin's Creed, games like the Mass Effect trilogy, there were games
Mass Effect,
like
that was good.
you know, games like the Metal Gear series, you know, and just watching like every release is just an addition to that movie,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's
Continuation.
It's awesome.
So it's funny you bring up Metal Gear. So, you know, I mean, obviously we grew up in around the same time, but to me it was so like game changer going from 16-bit to 32-bit because you know 16-bit was majority like side
Yeah.
scrollers, fighting games,
Yeah.
beat 'em ups, and then you go to 32-bit with the PlayStation 1, which I had, where you had Resident Evil, Metal Gear, Final Fantasy 7, and those games
And
are just so different from the previous generation. Where like in the very beginning of Metal
Yeah.
Gear, it's kind of like a movie where like you're swimming,
Yeah.
and you do that one little part, and then he gets in the elevator, and then it shows the text.
Takes it off,
Yeah, it
yeah.
takes it off. It's kind of like a movie where it shows the credits, and you're
Yeah.
just like, what is this? Like, you know what I mean? Like games weren't like
Yeah,
that.
And it
before.
was a movie.
Yeah,
it
was.
It was probably one of the most gripping games I've ever played in my
I
life.
remember we skipped school for that shit.
I skipped school for Final Fantasy VII.
Dude, I remember seeing Shiva's summon, and I'm like, I don't think it'll ever get better. You know, like, I'm like, it's never gonna get better. Like, I don't think it will ever. You know, like, and now you're watching like Final
5
Fantasy
minutes
15. Watching Final Fantasy 15 looks like an entire city's getting destroyed.
I know.
Your friends or mom or dad come in, they're like, "What movie are you watching?" You're like, heh, heh, Final Fantasy.
But that's what's tight about these games, because it feels like since they are a game, you know, they're like a whole bunch of things mixed into one. You play
Yeah.
them, you watch them, they're story based, and it's like it's more than just a movie. You know what I mean? Because you can interact with it. You
Pro,
can-
like, remember what did we just play for Xbox? What was that shit called? Quantum
one?
Break.
Oh, Quantum Break, yeah.
God, that was really good.
Was
The
it?
graphics
I
were
played it.
great, and in between
good
chapters,
storyline.
there's like a 25-minute episode of a TV show.
That's awesome.
Are
You get to
Yeah.
make like a decision,
Yeah.
you know, based on what you do in
And the
game,
TV
so-
show's different.
Yeah, so like
So it's actually it was really fun. Like, I actually really enjoyed playing it. You know, like it's that's what I mean by something different. They tried something different. It worked really well. Now it might not be, you know, some people, like certain people we know, don't like story. They just want to go in, shoot something, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, but me, I sit there, I'm like, wow, there's a fucking TV show in this. I'll sit back eating popcorn and chips, and then I'm like, oh shit, let me play the game
Yeah.
again. You know, I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's to me, that's really what's kind of kept me motivated to still play games now, is just like the fact that there is so much great content and so many good stories. And the thing is, like, a lot of times, like, you get a really good story mode and then you get on and the multiplayer is like a whole new element to the game.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like you're getting, you know, you're paying for these games now, and it's like you feel, when you get a really good one, you feel like you're getting a full experience with it. You know, like you're getting a great story, great gameplay, plus the multiplayer. So it's like you're getting all these features within one game, whereas like that's the one I would say negative with retro gaming versus modern gaming, or a big negative to me, is that it's like you played one game, when you played a game back in the day, you'd beat it, and then that was it. Like when you picked it up to play it again, it was to beat it again. Whereas now it's like I can pick up a game now, play through the story mode, get onto the multiplayer mode, and then shit, now there's DLCs. Like you know, like there's just so much more content coming
DLCs are good and bad. You know, I mean, you got like certain companies giving out DLC where it's like, yeah, you get a new horse skin and, you know, an extra hour.
What game is that?
I'm just saying in general, like, you know,
You get pedals for your bike now.
yeah, exactly. You know, you get an extra hour. You get like an extra hour of gameplay, and it's like $20. You know, and you're like, that didn't even feel worth it. And you look at like again, The Witcher. The Witcher,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
you know, gives you a full like 15 to 20 hour expansion for $20-$25.
Yeah.
Plus, of course, the 25 free DLCs. And I think their season pass was only like 35, wasn't it?
And the free horse skin.
Yeah. I just was thinking about horse skin, right? You thinking about something else that rhymes with horse skin?
Horse skin or horse skin?
Horse.
All right, we need to cut that at the head right now.
The foreskin DLC for only $15.
Yeah, exactly.
You get that new foreskin DLC?
No, I did.
Shit is sick.
Fucking hot sausage.
Manches.
But see, then you get what I feel is bullshit though, where it's like where DLC just comes out like Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like
Give you a bare bones game.
Yeah, you're
I
buying it. To me, you're buying an incomplete game.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they put like the most paltry fucking roster.
I felt
Like,
the
that
same way.
shit was like, that was fucking terrible, you know. And then it's like, oh well, you know, you can play and unlock the characters. Fuck you, like
No, you can't. You already unlocked.
Yeah, it's garbage.
I
when they do
didn't
shit
care
like
about that as much because they did say they were going to give out, you know, the story, all that extra stuff for free. I get why you're pissed because you're buying an incomplete game.
Yep.
But at least they're not charging you for it.
Well, that's true.
You know?
That's very true.
And Capcom's known for that shit.
Yeah.
You know, look at the fuck was it called? Asura's Wrath.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Dog.
Yeah.
You play the game, you get an ending, and then they're like, by the way, this DLC is like the actual ending. So the ending you got.
ending, you
Yeah.
have to pay $5.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that's what it was. It's like,
What?
you want to see what really happened?
Get the fuck out.
Here's, you gotta pay $50. It was $15.
I would have broken
Some
my
shit like
TV at
that.
Oh, let me go on YouTube really quick. Let me see the ending.
Yeah, exactly.
And Asura's Wrath. Asura's Wrath wasn't long. I
No,
don't remember
no, it
being a long
It was a
game.
great game. It was
yeah,
fun.
but it was quick though. Like so it's kind of like fuck you, Capcom, because you
Capcom's
should've-
fucking up though.
Yeah, you really should have put out like the full.
Where's
deal.
Mega Man, Capcom?
but the thing is with Street Fighter V, I was totally behind Capcom. You know, they were saying like, okay, DLC is gonna be free. You know, obviously you're gonna have to wait. But at the same time, dude, I still felt like the shit was empty. There was no arcade mode, and the shit that it did give you was like 4 fights per story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I felt like fighting games. The only DLC that fighting games should have are just new characters. You know what I mean?
Right.
They shouldn't be adding like story to it. I'm like,
Story
it's
mode, yeah.
stupid.
But
It's
that's
like,
free. That's what I'm saying.
I know,
it's
dude,
free.
but-
Part
It should.
when the game comes out.
I'm not arguing that fact, but at least it's free.
I mean,
Right.
it should be. You shouldn't even have to say that.
Right, that's true.
exactly the story.
That's very true. Like, well, like
It's like you buy a game and it's like you press start. It's like wait for the story mode to come out. You know?
Because not everybody wants to play online, especially not me. I suck at that shit. I don't want to get my
Release
ass kicked, you know.
in
So what
2
am I gonna
weeks.
do?
what,
I
you
play
don't
arcade
like
mode.
you don't like playing online?
Well, not now. I mean, I suck. I mean,
I suck too. I still play.
But the thing is, the way I get good is I play the computer. You know, I like to play arcade mode. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
you know
me
what I mean?
too.
And I like to see the story develop because I love the characters. I want to see. I used to play Street Fighter a lot just to see the endings. I
Right.
love to see the endings where it went. But
Mortal Kombat did it well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story mode.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of like characters and everything. Like,
Yeah, Mortal Kombat did
They have
really
pretty
good.
cool characters, but I mean, Mortal Kombat's not my thing. I mean, I'm
yeah. Well, Tekken is also really great too because I don't even think they even had. They really didn't have characters that they had to unlock. They had like the full roster in the
Yeah.
beginning, and then there's like maybe 5 characters later
Yeah.
on. You know what I mean?
See, but then on the other side of it, like I wasn't too bitter with Killer Instinct in the way that they did it because like they gave you a good base characters and then they came out with like their different seasons and stuff to add different things in there. And it was cool, but I felt like the base characters that you started off with were pretty decent for a startup in a fighting game, knowing ahead of time that you were going to have
Yeah.
to get DLC to complete out the roster. What I felt like with like Street Fighter, I was expecting to get at least 10 characters, or whatever,
many
10 or
characters
12
was it?
characters.
Shit, I don't remember.
But it's like you feel like you want a decent base of characters to start off with, especially again because in a game like Street Fighter, I'm wanting to play couch co-op on it.
Yeah.
And if we can get through the whole roster in less than like passing around the sticks like 5 or 6 times,
Yeah.
it's kind of fucked, like
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I like fighting games with big rosters. You know,
Yeah.
like Soul Calibur 3 had an awesome roster, and then you could create your own characters.
Yep.
I thought Soul Calibur was fun as shit.
Dude, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that shit had 56 characters, and you can unlock them all within the game and pretty fast too.
Why
know
don't
what
you
I
just
mean?
keep it in training mode for 3 days while your PlayStation's on? You get enough points for everything.
That shit was so fun, dude. I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Yep.
I don't know, but I mean, even with like modern games, you still got one of the negative things for me is definitely updates.
Yeah.
I hate updates. I hate sitting like getting home from work or something, and I'm like, oh man, I just want to like Metal Gear. I
Yeah.
actually just recently popped Metal Gear back in, and I'm like, you know what? I really want to play some because they had a lot of fun things to do in Metal Gear. I was like, let me go do some of these extra missions and do all this stuff. Pop it in, it's like update required. I'm like, oh fuck, okay, whatever. And it's like you missed 6 updates, 3 gigs. I'm like, well, better go make a sandwich. Go upstairs. Shit's downloaded. Get back on. Need to update Metal Gear Online. I'm like, oh my god.
All right, let me get on that conference call really
I
quick.
turn it on. Turn it on. I just let it do its thing. Go upstairs. Maybe watch a movie with my girlfriend or whatever. Come back down. It's like system update. You're like, what in the fuck? I just want to play Metal Gear. And it's like 3:00 in the morning. I was like, well, I got to go to work
I
tomorrow.
know.
So
But that's what's cool about retro games, man, because you just pop them in and just play. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I liked about it. And you didn't have to load. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have to go through all these logos and shit. And
you can't compare that to like modern games. Though. I mean, you're talking about like. How big was an NES cartridge? Like, 1 megabyte.
It wasn't 1
Yeah,
megabyte.
I
It was
know.
like 16 kilobytes.
Yeah. See, I can't even think that small anymore. Games now take up like 90 gigs on your 500 gig hard drive. The fuck is that giving you a 500 gig hard drive?
Well, that's the big difference because now consoles are really mini computers. It's
Yeah.
like, and that was to me what was the biggest difference between like PC gaming and consoles was like, as a PC gamer, you're used to the updates. So for me, it wasn't like that was something new. But what was new to me is the fact that like putting on a console and having to sit through a fucking update. Like
Yeah.
that was something that I really had to get used to where it was like, what the fuck is going on?
God, I hate updates. Even now, like you buy a game, you have to keep in mind day one updates. Like I get a game, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go, you know what? I'm just gonna pop the game in, let it update while I shower.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I can't just go to the GameStop and like rip open my game and just pop it in and be like, all right, let's fucking do this. And he's like, nope, I'll wait for the update.
I remember one time we were at a game night and we were playing Street Fighter, and then I had brought somebody over and they were like, hey, you got Mortal Kombat 10? And you're like, dude, I'm not trying to install that shit right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're not playing that game now.
And I got a physical copy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was physical.
So I still have to install 60 some gigs into that fucking game. You know, and it's just like exactly like you
wait
said.
Wait until they start releasing the 4K shit with the textures and everything,
Oh,
and it's
God.
gonna double the size of the games. It's just gonna be ridiculous. And I guarantee you, all new systems are gonna be all flash drives.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think they're gonna be faster than reading a disc or even anything. You're gonna have a USB based little SSD. You just plug it in and you're done.
You can keep your digital collector's editions. I'd rather go get myself a sexy figure or something.
Yeah, that's what's cool
Well,
about
it's not
the-
even digital. It's just they're not going to make discs anymore because I mean the Blu-ray is not going to have enough space
That's
on it
true,
to
but
hold the data. That
neither
you're
did a
required to
DVD.
for a 4K game.
Yeah.
I mean now that they're starting to push the new consoles and
Why not come with the thumbstick with the game
Neo
on
and
then?
Scorpio and everything going 4K. It's just
That's kind of a teabag on people though. At least in my opinion.
What do you mean? Oh,
I
the
mean-
Scorpio and the PS, the Neo.
4K
Let's
or
not
I
even
call it
get
the
into that,
PS4K.
but I mean,
yeah, that's
I'm just
a topic
saying-
for
I'm just
another
saying-
day.
I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it's going to be a hell of a freaking jump when it goes to 4K.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what about
Size-wise, it's just going to get worse.
what about
I
people
agree.
like me and Psycho? You know, we're physical whores. We love physical stuff. You know,
You
I
can
love
have a
having
physical flash drive. That's what they're going to give you.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
if they're going to do that, I mean, I guess that could be okay. Like if you get a collector's edition, which is something that I also really enjoy about this modern era too. If they include like a flash drive with the fucking game on it or something, you know.
They will. They'll probably make it look like a disc.
Yeah, no,
It's not a disc, but it looks like one.
yeah. But you get what I'm saying. Like I like physical collector's editions. I mean, getting a nice statue, like my Ryu statue that came with Street Fighter, is fucking awesome.
I think it brings a little bit more fun to the whole gaming culture thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We already lost our midnight release, fun times. I mean, you go to a midnight release now, it's just sad.
not
But
fun.
remember, like and it was pretty recent. Fallout 3 had a huge midnight release at Best Buy with like the devs out there signing, stuff like that. All the hype for the new game to go out and play it and all that. It was just so much fun. And now, like, when I went to pick something up at midnight, there was like 3 people in line, and they're all like. And I'm like, oh, this game's tight. And they're like, who the fuck are you? I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to punch you in your mouth. You stupid motherfucker. It's just, and I think that's part of that whole online digital era.
It's a different generation of kids.
Yeah.
All those,
We're a lost cause.
Yeah. It's funny because like
Dying off.
you figure too. I mean, like I'm still that way. I like the physical copy of games also, but that's because it's exactly what Pro was saying. It's like you get used to it. It's like you grew up on it and that's what you're used to. But I also understand the other side of things too. Like I like my space. I don't like a lot of clutter and shit. You know what I mean? So it's like for me, I'm just sometimes if there's a game that I know that I don't want a physical copy of, I'll just download it. I don't give a fuck. You know what I
but I
mean?
mean-
There's times like that. So I get it for some
I just
people.
like the convenience.
Yeah,
I agree.
I turn my
The
shit on.
convenience
I press
is
a button,
really good.
and it's there.
Yeah.
I can go and put a
That's
disc
true.
in, take a disc
For example,
out.
Mighty Number 9.
Reload the game before release.
Right.
All I do,
Yeah.
everything's downloaded. Even the patches that come out, they're download automatically.
I'll
then-
agree. I'll agree with that.
Damn, but some games, yeah. I mean, if it's a
Well, look-
collector's edition.
Look at like Mighty Number 9. I just picked that up, and I'm like sitting there, and I had Dark Souls in the console, and I'm like sitting down, like, man, I don't feel like getting up to put this goddamn disc in. It's like for this little ass game, I know that takes like 10 gigs. I have to get up and change the disc. That sounds lazy, but it's not really like the fact of picking it up and putting it away. It's just like that game is only $20, and you're like God damn, if it was just installed, I wouldn't have to do anything. I understand the convenience of it, but then again, it looks tight. You got like. Psycho's got a pretty good collection of video games, and I love going to his house and like just seeing all of them on his wall. I think it's awesome looking,
Yeah.
and he kind of inspired me to start keeping my games too, and I'm happy for it. Because now, like before, I used to trade all my games in and stuff, to get that little extra money.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, I got this nice little collection.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and I actually, like I said, I went back to pick up Metal Gear. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And to play Metal Gear, if this was me earlier, I would have traded it in and been
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't play it anymore.
Because you never know when you want to go back and play them joints, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, so I guess the last thing that I kind of want to bring up about modern gaming that really kind of pisses me off is the amount of hacks and cheating that goes on multiplayer modes. I mean, that shit just, that just ruins it for me, to be honest with you. And the fact that it seems like now every big release that's getting like a lot of multiplayer play out of it, it seems like it's just like running rampant now. And I don't know what the actual like idea behind it is, because for me, part of playing a game multiplayer is part of the competition part of it. So like if you're cheating and you're fucking cheating, like where's the competition there?
There is no competition. It's just those little stupid asses.
Yeah.
It's not even trolling. I mean, trolling is like being good and like, teabagging someone after you kill them. That's trolling. Cheating or hacking is just you showing that you're a little bitch.
Yeah.
To all you hackers out there, y'all are little bitches. Yeah. That's all you are. And they probably laugh about it. They're like, oh, I totally trolled them. I'm like, no, why don't you go, masturbate again in the corner, you fucking piece of shit.
I mean, like, I remember playing games like back in the day, like dungeon crawler type games, and I would troll the fuck out of people because like I would know that people would have to spend hours to get like certain swords and like armor and shit like that. And so I would just tell them like that I needed help down in a dungeon and stuff. And actually, one of my really good friends taught me to do this. And so you'd tell them where you were, and then you go and you'd fucking hide out. And as soon as they came down there, you just fucking slaughter them and take their shit.
That's just exploiting.
That's trolling. That's more trolling than like sitting inside of a wall.
Or like for instance, like and that was always like the thing to me. Whereas like my buddy, he used to do like the real dickhead stuff, which I would consider like the equivalent of cheating, where he'd be like, dude, let me like see this, and some like fucking unknowing like trusting asshole would actually give him the item, and then he'd like go and log the fuck off, you know what I mean, like that kind of shit. But like nowadays it's not like that. Like now it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous, to where like I heard Overwatch is actually saying that they're giving like lifetime bans if they catch you fucking cheating.
Bizarre and doesn't fuck around.
And it's like when you think about
Blizzard.
Blizzard.
Bizarre.
But it's like when you think about that, when companies have to go to that extreme, that says more about what's going on. And it's like that's the one thing that I can definitely say about like playing retro games. It was like I knew when I was getting my ass beat, I was getting my ass beat by a better player.
Yeah, even in Street Fighter, even in Call of Duty, Titanfall, all those games, like if some dude's good, I'm gonna talk shit and be like, "This fucking bitch, I hate this guy," and then like I'll watch the kill cam and I'm like, "God, that was pretty good though."
Exactly.
And you'll talk shit. You'll be like, "God, I fucking hate you," but God damn, GG, dude. Like you aerial quick scope me while jumping off of your Titan and doing some crazy shit, and like going on Titanfall, like I stopped playing. It was one of my favorite multiplayer games. I love robots, and I love the fact that maybe it's because I'm a retro gamer now that I think about it. You got a double jump and a fucking wall run and all this cool shit.
That's awesome.
And I loved it, but it turned me off was like the fact that everyone was aimbotting, and that's like an automatic headshot. So like I'd walk right behind this guy, and this guy would full 180 turn around in like a millisecond and headshot me, and I'm like, you're not that good.
Right.
Like you are not that good. And it was like right on the money. There was no mouse lag or like actual trying to get to the headshot. It was just straight up boom, dead.
Yep.
I think it should be zero tolerance.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think that all multiplayer games like Overwatch, Call of Duty, Titanfall, fucking every game should be zero tolerance for cheating, because nobody, the Blizzard isn't putting hacks on your fucking console.
Right.
They're not the ones giving you an aimbot. They're the one, you go out of your way to cheat. You don't, oh, oops, I totally accidentally downloaded this aimbot that helped me get 87 headshots. I just thought I was good. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. That just never happens. Now, there's a difference between like hacks and like exploits.
Yeah.
Like exploits, you can't be banned for that because that's a video game error.
Yeah, if it's a developer that messed up on something and you just, using it for the time being, because everybody will do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Figure it out, you're going to use it,
But
if you're cheating, no, ban them.
Yeah, agreed. 100% agree.
Pay another $60 for a game? Go ahead.
Blizzard won't even let you buy another one.
No, you can.
That's great.
Create an account. And
No. There's. I think I.
No, I don't know how they're gonna know that you.
I don't know, but this guy bought 4 copies and got all of them banned without even playing. multiple consoles. I don't know how it
Do
happened.
they pin? Do they pin your IP?
No, he bounced his IP, all that shit, and he was just like, nope.
I mean, if you want to cheat and pay $60 and then get banned again, go ahead. I mean,
Yeah, I
just
agree.
giving the
Honestly,
developer money,
if you're going to pay
whatever,
$60 to play, first of all, we'll go with Overwatch, a fully online multiplayer game, and you don't think you're going to get caught, dude, you deserve to get banned. And that $60 should be Blizzard's, to keep other fucking retards like you out of the game.
I totally agree. But I guess in the company's point of view or the business point of view, don't you think that kind of pushes people from
absolutely
playing
not.
and shit or not?
Because what's the margin there? I mean, what are you talking about?
That's
Maybe
true.
like 2%, 1% of the
Yeah.
whole population of the gamers cheat.
That's
Yes.
true. Yeah, you're right.
It's not that big of a margin for them to take a hit. Especially if they already paid for the game.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
And think about it.
Very true.
Took your money
Think
and
about it.
slapped you and told you to get the fuck out.
Think about it.
No.
Well, I'm sorry. Nope, too late. Sorry.
And then you buy another one, they take your money again, slap you, get the fuck out again, and keep your money.
Well, look at it. I mean, it's a smart way to do it because look at what happened with wasn't it Dark Souls that had to go down multiplayer for a day or something like that because there was so much fucking cheating going on. It's like why would you here's the thing, if I'm as a developer, I wouldn't want to have to shut down my server because a bunch of assholes decided they want to try to try out cheats, and that's the problem.
It ruins experience.
Right, it does, because the thing is, for the 95% of us that don't like cheating and don't want to actually play a competitive fucking game, it's like I don't want to have to wait for it because you decided that you were going to be a fucking knucklehead and go on there and put on
Well, look
some
at-
fucking cheat bot.
In what you were saying, Psycho, look at, again, Titanfall. I love that game. I love playing it, but when hackers started becoming a big thing, people were like, oh, you're trying to buy Titanfall, it's only $30 because it was on sale or something. They're like, nah, it's full of cheaters.
Right.
And look at that. That one $60 that this guy saved just cost them hundreds of more. Because now they don't have new players coming in, not Titanfall, Overwatch. I can get people in on it because they're like, oh, I heard they're banning the shit out of hackers. I'm like, and they're like, yeah, I'll play. Fair game. I feel like the hacking is just for people with low self-esteem who want to feel better about themselves and just don't want to put the time to actually become good. I mean, in Rocket League, what if somebody had a fucking bumper magnet that pushed the fucking ball into the goal every time? How would that make you feel?
I'd be fucking
You wouldn't even play the game anymore.
That's true.
What if 80% of your matches were all that?
Right.
You wouldn't be playing it right now.
And that's the thing that I think it's again it's unfortunately it's a generational thing right now. It's like we grew up, and I think that is a big difference with retro versus modern gaming. Is that we grew up playing competitive gaming. It was very competitive
different
going
culture.
up. It was,
Yeah.
and it's like nowadays, I feel like that the culture is even bigger now. I feel like there's and like Pro said, it's like you have a smaller percentage of people that are cheating right now. But the thing is that I feel like at this stage in the game, it's like I don't want that to take over and for that group to grow.
Yeah,
And so I'm glad to see these developers nipping it in the bud now, as opposed to letting it go on.
I hope it starts a trend because I don't cheat. I don't give a fuck if they ban people.
Right.
I don't cheat, and I actually would love to have servers where there's no cheating.
Right.
Because then you lost because you suck, or you won because you're good.
Exactly.
That game pissing me off. It's because you suck.
It's just like,
How about you just buy it again? Next time.
yeah, exactly.
You suck.
So true.
All right, so I guess in the last question before we end this podcast to you guys, since we've been talking about retro and modern, is there any one of the two that you guys prefer over the other?
I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
I love both. Honestly, I
Both, okay.
was in the generation of what's considered old school now, and I'm growing into the modern, video game era. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I like them both. I mean, I play games that remind me of old school. Like Salt and Sanctuary, Mighty Number 9. And I'll even go back if Psycho were to bring over Mega Man for NES, I'd probably throw it in there and play it.
Yep.
I couldn't, I couldn't not try either one. I think they have positive and negatives on both sides, and as long as, we're on a good path, and VR coming out and soon augmented reality, that's the next step. And when video games hit augmented reality, man, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's
You know?
true.
That's
Real true.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I was all retro all day. You know what I mean? All day, dude. That's it. Like, I hated modern, like, no bullshit. And I hated, like, when the 360 came out and the PS3, I just hated the fact that you had to install stuff. I hated DLC. I hated patches. I hated the fact that there really wasn't any arcade stuff. But, like, with PS4 and this current gen, I've really fucked with it because there's a lot of indie stuff that seem really old school. You know what I mean? And then Rocket League is one of those games that just feels like an arcade game. And I'd have to say, honestly, man, it's a hard decision, but I like what Gutsuga said, man. I prefer both, man. I can't go with pick one or the other. But if I had to pick, if I was on an island by myself, I'd pick retro. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'm going to piggyback off of what you both say because I really can't choose one over the other. But I will say this: I'm glad that I grew up in the video game generation from like 8-bit all the way to current and have gotten to see the evolution of video games.
That's a good one.
And it's really cool. So it's like, for me personally, I have that connection with retro just because it's retro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's my childhood. It's the throwbacks. It's all that. Whereas I can honestly say that, to have to pick one or the other, I would say at this stage of my life, I'm definitely into the current generation of gaming a lot more than I am going back to playing retro games, just because, again, it was seeing that evolution and like seeing now like that we're seeing the most incredible graphics that I didn't think were ever imaginable. Seeing these epic stories, seeing all these positives that we said about current generation gaming and modern gaming. That's to me, that's the draw. And I have to say that, if I'm going to sit down and put one in, it's probably going to be something modern, but that doesn't take away from my love of retro gaming. I can throw in something old school.
No, I agree, man. And I mean, in my opinion, it's in our DNA pretty much. I mean, we were raised on retro, and we saw the whole progression, the whole evolution of the gaming industry. And it's ended up in the current gen right now, and thank God there are games around and how epic they are now. I mean, personally, I love retro, but for me, sitting in front of a TV with surround sound and getting epic, you're in it. It's
that's true.
It's definitely an experience, and it was an experience back in the day for retro gaming for me as well. And it kind of evolved. I think it can't be one without the other. So I think for me it's both.
Well said.
I agree with everybody. Good answer. Good answer.
You chose wisely.
Game over. All right, guys. So that was it. That was our podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you guys have any comments on anything we talked about, what, do you guys prefer retro, modern? Is there any old school heads that are listening to this? Any of the young kids listening to this? What do you guys think? We like to see we like to see your feedback.
Anybody that old?
Yes, there are people that old that listen to this, believe it or not. But yeah, guys, once again, we appreciate you watching. Continue to watch all our videos on YouTube and follow us on iTunes and SoundCloud, where we have all the podcasts. Again, like, share, subscribe. And we'll just continue to bring out this content for you guys, all right? So, Gatsuga, Josh, ProLogic, and System Psycho signing out. Peace.
Peace out.
Peace.